Hi, I'm Nuzurin Fatiha binti Muhammad Noor, 253931. The application or system of scientific management theory by Frederick is first is analyze the work process. By analyze the work process, we can determine the most effective and efficient way to do a task and experimenting with some different methods to find out which one of the methods takes the least time to complete, and the scientific management takes this effective way to doing the task, retaining employees as needed. Second is define and delegate tasks. Supervisor measure that the most effective way to do a task and match employees to do their job based on their capabilities and motivation rather than simply assign one employee to do a variety of tasks or complete a project from start to finish. This allows the employees to become more structured and completing their tasks. Monitor performance and offer incentive. A supervisor arranges to monitor and performance employees below them and provide instruction and supervise them to ensure that they are using the most effective way to do their job. Since the employees are repeat the same task every day, their skill will be increased day by day, so that the quality and the quantity of the production will be increased and they will get high incentive. Employees are motivated because they are financially rewarded based on their performance. The more effective the workers is, the higher incentive will be. Establish a professional hierarchy. The manager's primary role is to establish the work process and spend their time to training employees, planning and overseeing the work, while employees follow the manager's direction and complete the task. Next is Frank and Lillian Gilbreth. Motion study is a technique like basing hand, arm, and body movement of the workers as they perform their work. Every work has some motions that are productively used in workplace to organize a better method in performing the job. First is tablet analysis. The tablet refers to the motions of human body at the workplace and to the mental activities associated with it. They permit much more precise and detailed descriptions of the work than any other recording technique. Tablet was suggested by Frank Gilbreth, the founder of motion study, who differentiated 17 fundamental hand and eye motions, to which an 18 has been added. Each tablet has a specific color, symbol, and letter for recording purpose. Second is micromotion analysis. Micromotion study is one of the most accurate techniques of work analysis used for work improvement. It makes use of motion picture of the different activities or movement. So with the help of camera, very small time up to 0.0005 minutes can be measured and recorded by this system. First is filming the operation. Micromotion study consists of taking motions picture of the activity while being performed by an operator. The equipment required to make a film or video tape of the operation consists of 16mm movie camera, 16mm film, wing counter, microchronometer, and other usual photographic aids. Second is analysis of data films. From once of the operations has been filmed and the film is processed, then the film is viewed with help of projector for analysis of micro motions. Third is the film is analyzed by in the following way. Film is run at normal speed as to get familiar with the pattern of movement involved. By typical work cycle is selected from amongst the film cycle. Film is run at a very slow speed and is usually stopped or reversed frequently to identify the motions, and the tablets are the identifications are entered in analysis sheet. Is recording of using SIMO chart, simulations motion cycle chart, which is SIMO chart, is recording technique for micro motion study. A SIMO chart is a chart based on the film analysis used to record simultaneously on common timescale the tablets or a group of tablets performed by different parts of the body of one or more operators. The contributions or benefits of scientific management theory. First is increased production. The effect of scientific management on the industry, such the harmonious relationship between the management and workers and cooperate with each other, will assist in production in the organization. Besides, Taylor philosophy proposed by the optimize and simplifying the jobs, so productivity will be increased. By studying the activities of workers, scientific management discovered methods to make every workers more efficient. Times and motions study and other workplace studies analyze work operation and discovered the most effective and efficient way to perform the job. Second, it will be decrease the cost. The mechanism and the latest use technology in the production of goods and enhance the productivity, since there are enhance of large case of production. This will decrease in per unit cost of the production. The next benefits of scientific management is improvement in our maintenance of quality. Employees become more specialists in their field, so they do the same job every day, and this will make it easy for their manager to have control over them. The philosophies of continuous improvement, constantly seeking better ways to improve the quality, are also directly related to the scientific management. Next is speedy production and accurate delivery. Dividing work between the workers and supervisor is another direct result of scientific management. Breaking a job into parts and making the work as systematic as possible have produced greater results and standardization.
Hello Maya, I will present about the criticism of scientific management theory by Frederick and Frank and Lillian Gilbreth, and the conclusion. Support the scientific management theory by Frederick Taylor. First person is Payne. She described Taylor's impact on industrial organizational psychology, whereby contribution and insight Taylor made are well accepted practice in the present and in the future. She also organized its finding into 10 areas within management, which is job analysis, job design, selection, motivation and incentive system, job performance criteria, performance appraisal, employee attitudes, group process, organizational change, and development and human factors. Second person is Schechter. She argues that Taylor's impact has implications for present-day manager, which make Taylor's method relevant in a modern management environment. She credits Taylor as being the originator of the science of work. She said that Taylor was among a small number of scholars in his day who first started the idea about work and efficiency of time and motion in relation to productivity. Third person is Peter Drucker. He credits Taylor as being the first person to study work seriously. Peter believed Taylor was making a better work for everyone, whereby Taylor tried to create a utopia between management and the workers. Next is Crozon. In a Wall Street Journal article offers an interesting modern spin on Taylor's depiction of efficiency, whereby Taylor believed that workers could be motivated only by money. If workers were paid a flat day rate, they had no incentive to produce more than yesterday. Taylor made a comparison between a naturally energetic man who worked for a few days beside a lazy one. So Crozon agreed that why should one work hard when that lazy fellow gets the same pay as us and does only half of the work. In fact, Taylor was truly seeking a sort of personal productivity coefficient for every worker to minimize effort and maximize efficiency via individual productivity. Next is Frank and Lillian Gilbreth. Gilbreth further wrote a primer of scientific management. In the primer, Gilbreth stated that none is simply trained to perfection. It means doing the work is in the one best way, whereby scientific management try to induce men to act as nearly like machine as possible. Such machines are paid handsomely for their efficiency. Whether or not the men may be called machine, they receive better salary and gain more profit. Next is Critique the Scientific Management Theory by Frederick Taylor. First person is Thomas Regis. He critiqued that Taylor tried to systematize workers as if they were components of machine. He stated that Taylor has been naive in his judgment about complex human value and motive. Criticism of Thomas Regis also supported by Ludwig Benjamin and David Baker, whereby they similarly state that Taylor ignored human issues, which is the domain of psychology. Second person is Stephen Diner. Critics that Taylor robbed workers of all matters of judgment about their job. The Taylor's approach was the replacement of skilled craft people with unskilled workers that only trained to do specific tasks in prescribed way. In short, Taylor controlled every aspect of the work, whereby it included tools to be used, or the tasks that should be performed, time taken to complete the task given, and time for the workers to rest. Thus, workers lost valuable expertise, knowledge, and crucial judgment and decision-making skill that could have been shared with other professionals. Next is Scott. He never had used any for Taylor or any of the efficiency or scientific management craft. Instead, that Taylor was unaware that human toil was the last thing in the world to be efficient about. In order to maximize manual efficiency, Taylor abandoned the strength of human nature and capability with displaying psychological illiteracy. Indeed, the key criticism of Taylor's approach was that he treated people as machines. Next, according to John Benjafield, he compares Taylor and Elton Mayo, whereby Taylor main focus was on individual behavior, while Mayo focus was on behavior as determined by the quality of one interpersonal relationship. John argued that such contrasts ignore on the one hand the human factor in Taylor's thinking. Support the Scientific Management Theory by Frank and Lillian Gilbreth. First is Frank. Early scientific management was focused on the technical movement-driven analysis to improve manufacturing process and allocate resources more efficiently. So Lillian idea in further developing scientific management objective to strengthen workers' personal traits, skill, and abilities to achieve full potential. She was able to articulate the human side of scientific management in a way that Taylor were either unable or unwilling to. Next, according to Desjardins, Lillian's perspective and focus on individuality was relevant to scientific management because it allowed management to focus on developing the individual for mutual gain of both labor and management. Based on Gilbreth's motion studies theory, it states that the main goal of motion study is to find the one best way to do specific tasks. According to George, Fromm was able to identify and eliminate unnecessary movement that he considered wasteful. In order to increase more productivity, he custom-made machinery to meet employee needs. Gilbreth stated that the easiest and most efficient way of conducting motion study must using what a corporation has from available resources in search of the best way to perform tasks. Frank emphasized that the only reason for implementing time study was to discover proper work elements and then transform them into a standard where it can be applied by all workers regardless of experience or skill level. According to Paulette, such studies could be used across all trades so that information could be exchanged to improve more method and different industry and thus improve productivity across the country. Gilbreth developed new motion study technique, which he called micro-motion study. The study filming workers' operation against a cross-section background while the chronometer recorded the time. According to Price, the technique enabling Gilbreth to compare and contrast the different approach of workers to determine the best method possible, which become the standard. Lastly is yours. Time study had received overall wider acceptance since the introduction of time and motion studies in the early 1900. However, 6 different authors wrote to defend time study and eventually all agreed that motion study is superior to time study. None admit that time study were invalid, just simply not as superior. So, in a conclusion, scientific management theory helps organizations in achieving productivity and efficiency using time and motion study concept. The concept enables workers to meet a one best way of doing tasks and eliminate unnecessary movement that considered wasteful. Furthermore, scientific management had been an essential body of knowledge in improving workers' work. Although the scientific management theory considered principle, it is still applied among established organizations today. However, Taylor's judgment about complex human value and motive have weakness, whereby he dehumanized workers and make them into robots. So therefore, Gilbreth tried to improve the weakness on scientific management theory By further developing scientific management concept to articulate the human side of scientific management in a way that Taylor were either unable or unwilling to. Gilbreth's objective on the concept was to strengthen local personal traits, skills, and abilities to achieve full potential. Gilbreth's perspective allowed management to focus on developing the individual for mutual gain of both labor and management.